Hi guys, it's Kelly and I am back again with another video. Today's video is actually for a blog hop for Altenew. I'm going to be using a couple of sets by them. I'm using Garden Treasure Vintage Teacup, Amazing You for the sentiment, but the big star of the show here and the whole reason for the blog hop is actually because they are releasing two new sets of markers. So currently they have out set A, which I already own, and then they are releasing today set B and C. So with the Altenew markers, they have a bullet nib on one end and a brush nib on the other. And then there's also this little gray mark that delineates which side is the bullet nib. And it comes like with its own plastic case. So you can leave it in the case that it comes in and it's a plastic piece, or you can take that out and discard it. Or you can rip off, it's like even perforated on the side. So there's like 4 options to store them, which is kind of awesome. So I'm doing a 1-layer card. Big shocker, I know. But I was so excited when they sent me the email to see if I wanted to be part of the blog hop, because it was like, do you want to color our beautiful stamps with pretty markers? Hard sell, guys. Twist my arm about it. But yeah, I want to color your pretty stamps with the new markers. So I stamped down my first layer, masked that, and then stamp my second layer, masked that, stamp in the third layer. You guys know how this goes if you watch my videos. I do a lot of 1-layer cards. I love this vintage teacup set, and I've only actually ever used it once before, so any excuse I had to use that, I'm totally down for. I wanted to add a stem to the flower that is up top. So I just put my masking paper right over the pencil line I drew, traced it, cut it out. It all worked well. I needed like a counter, tabletop, what have you, for this teacup with the flower arrangement to sit on. So I'm using a piece of the post, what is it? It's not, is it scotch? No, it's 3M. I don't even know what I'm talking about today. I've literally been up all night. I've not had any sleep. That's just, it is what it is. Sometimes that's my life. So, and I probably sound terrible. Does my voice sound terrible? It might, but no judgment, guys, no judgment. So I'm doing a distress ink background. I put a Salty Ocean down first and kind of faded that off to the left. I'm going to do the same thing with the blueprint sketch, but I'm not going to completely cover the Salty Ocean. And then the last color that I decided to use was Chip Sapphire. I'm loving this color combo lately. I'm putting it on everything. Like Starry Night Sky, don't mind if I do. Wallpaper for this flower arrangement, absolutely. I'm sure I'll find some other reason to use it. Sometimes I throw in like one extra color to, like, I don't know, confuse you guys that I'm not using the same exact color combination. But I'm using the same exact color combination. I just really, I love blue. I love this particular combination of blue, and it makes me happy, and ultimately they're my cards. So for the countertop, I decided to go with a cool gray. This is the Hickory Smoke Distress ink. And other than just being maybe a little bit more light-handed on the left-hand side, I didn't really do anything, spectacular here. It's just regular ink blending. This is where the magic happens, folks. We're going to remove all of the masks so you can see what that is going to look like. Always my favorite part, which is why one of the many reasons why I love 1-layer cards is, just removing all those masks and seeing what you've created. I just love it. It makes me smile. I don't even know if you can hear it in my voice, but even now, like, I've already made the card. It's over. It's done. But I just think it's super pretty. So we're going to go right into the copic coloring here. In the, which one is it? It's the B. Yep, it's set B. They have some warm gray markers. And if you've been around my channel for any amount of time, if you hand me gray markers, I'm gonna color something white. I'm gonna do it because I think it's pretty. I mean, I really have no other reason other than that. So, warm grays is not my typical go-to. Cool grays is, but I think especially since this is a vintage teacup, the warm grays fit in very nicely. And having some warmer tones contrast some of the cooler background that we have, I think makes it a little bit more interesting. So one of the things that I love about the Altenew markers is that they have a brush nib. Copics also have a brush nib. And for some reason, when other people make their alcohol markers, I know like Spectrum Noir, I bought those. It has like a bullet nib on one end and a chisel tip. I think it's a chisel tip on the other. Or maybe it's a fine point. Regardless, there's no brush nib to be found. And I need it. I need it to color. That is what I'm used to coloring with because I am used to using Copic markers. So it's just super nice to have that as an option. Here, when you're coloring something white, you're really just adding in the shadows. So that's what I'm doing here. Right now, nothing else is colored besides the background. So this cup and plate just looks like dirty. It just looks dirty. It just looks like, you know, your dishwasher failed at its job, that it didn't do, or, you know, maybe your husband did the dishes. That happens to me sometimes. He tries. He's a good, puts in a good effort, but sometimes, meh, not so much. But so you're just going to add in the shadows. You know what? Speaking of dishwashers, my kid will not stay out of my dishwasher, and he's right now, he's just really into just opening it when it's in the mid cycle. He'll open the dishwasher and then he shuts the dishwasher back, but then the dishwasher doesn't start over again. The dishwasher just like sits in like dishwashing purgatory because my son has opened the door, and then I have to drain the whole dishwasher and start all over again. And I do not know how to stop him from opening the dishwasher door. It's almost like he thinks there's something fun going on in there that he's missing. Like there's some sort of like dishwasher fairies that are in there just soaping up all the dishes and getting rid of all the dirt. And really, I mean, if we have anything, it's going to be like dishwasher gnomes, like ugly gnomes, like shut the door before they get out kind of thing. We're not going to have pretty dishwasher fairies. But maybe I should tell him we have dishwasher gnomes. Like, I feel like that would be a parenting win. Maybe that'll keep him from opening the dishwasher door. Look at that. Look at all the problems that we're solving here on YouTube today. You know, and then like one day he'll watch this video when he's like 12 and he'll be like, "Oh, Mom, dishwasher gnomes aren't a real thing." But, you know, it'll get me through the age of 4. So anyway, back to the coloring. So basically, I color from my lightest color out to my darkest back into my lightest. And so that's what I'm doing. I've gone all the way out to the darkest, which is actually a W7 is what it looks like, which is darker than I would normally go. But I guess I was just kind of in the flow of things and not even paying attention. Kind of like that rant I just went on about my dishwasher. But so just, you want to make sure you leave some white. Like, what are the highlights of coloring things white, guys? Leave some white area. You're just putting in the shadows. Make sure you're blending out your colors. That's pretty much it. I mean, that's really all I got going on here. I did add quite a bit more of the darker color from behind the cup, and also on the back well, it's like the front of the plate where it's starting to round out. With anything, I'll talk about it a lot when we get to coloring the flowers. What the heck is going on today? The background. I filled in the background. See how I was too lazy to mask out that part of the cup, that little handle? I just filled it in with one of the markers. I think I used a R926. And then I went over it with a W3 because it was a little bit too bright, and that totally worked. I was super happy that it was all matchy-matchy. So anyway, you want to color things the shape of how they're drawn. So with that plate, you could see some of my strokes were rounded out. You'll see with the flower petals here that I'm doing the same thing. So I'm following, if like this one comes down and to the left, I'm trying to make sure my strokes are in a downward motion. If you color things with just a straight edge and you don't follow the shape of them, they're going to look awkward and unnatural. So whether you have to turn the page like I do, you can say, I'm turning the page the whole time I'm coloring. I know that there are people who don't need to do that. I'm not one of them, and that's okay. If you do whatever's going to make you comfortable, if it's coloring towards yourself, flicking the marker towards yourself, or flicking the marker away from yourself, whichever one works for you. Most people seem to find that it's more comfortable to flick it away from themselves. That is also how I am most comfortable. But play around with it, mess around and see what's going to work for you. Here, I wasn't paying attention. See, I don't know my colors. I don't know my colors because these are new markers. And I grabbed the wrong marker, which I clearly recognized almost right away that it was too dark. And then so I just went back in, got the next lightest color. It's not like I wasn't going to put that dark in there, so it's not like a huge faux pas. I was still going to put that dark color in there. I just did it a little bit early. So as far as the shading from the base of the petals is going to be darker. Anytime a petal is overlaying another petal, that will be darker. These petals and these particular flowers curl up or curl in pretty often. So those are going to cast a shadow. This one on the back here, it has two curled inside. So that's going to be a pretty dark petal. In this particular flower, there is also, let me look at it here. There's like a lot of flowery stamen in the center. And at first I was really scared to kind of color over them because I knew I wanted to make them yellow, and yellow, purple, complementary colors on the color wheel, which means they'll look beautiful together, but also means that if I mix them together, they're going to make brown. So what I ended up doing was not doing the strokes of color over the center. I kind of like dotted it in, just like dabbed it in with the very tip of the marker to try to at least save some white space to put a genuine yellow color in there. So again, just going through, from the lightest out to the darkest, using very light pressure, just the tip of the marker. These colored very similarly to Copics for me. I did notice that the lighter colors don't pick up the darker colors as much as they do with Copics. And that's not a positive or a negative. That's just something to be aware of. With these, wherever you put the color down, that's pretty much what it's going to be. It's not really going to lighten up too much when you put the lighter colors over it. So the darkest color in this set is an R705, and it is kind of like a pinky purple. It's my favorite one of the B set. It's like really bright and vibrant, and I love it. You've heard me say before in videos that I'm not really that big of a fan of purple, but for some reason coloring flowers purple, it always is like just a really vibrant and eye-catching, and I love bold colors. So this one totally stole my heart. I really loved this particular shade of purple. So you'll see in the back petals, I'm doing not as many strokes from the top, just a few. It's because I didn't want to overwhelm the petal, but I still wanted there to be some depth in there. And the way that this particular flower is drawn is there's already kind of notches in there. I'm just accentuating those notches. So just, picking like a little triangle or doing just a flick of color next to one of those notches to just kind of give it some dimension so that everything matched, like the way that the flower was colored matched. So once I'm done with the darkest color, we're going to go back in through the lightest. Sometimes you've heard me say to avoid a quote-unquote wall of color. If you look at this petal I'm working on right now, this one that to the front bottom left, I feel like I did not avoid the wall of color. It seems very kind of blocky to me. I realized that there isn't much I could do about it because of the way that the petal is drawn. There would be a highlight right across the center there. It just would be. It's an even petal. But that's just something that me personally, maybe you didn't even notice it, but that's just me personally. I noticed that one, and I'm not particularly a fan. So the petals that curl over, I left with very minimal shading because those will be the lightest points. And I wanted to make sure that they had some white on them. For the centers, I actually kind of mixed and matched here. So I took 2 colors from the B set and 1 from the C set. The one from the C set is the lightest color, which is the Y204. And that's the one that everything that was left over that was white in there, I colored that in with. And then I'm adding some shading with the Y612 and the Y823. So I don't understand their numbering system, but I'm going to be honest, I didn't really look into it. And I don't necessarily think it matters. On the side of each marker, there is a sticker that has an actual name. So these do coordinate with the Altenew inks that they have available. So they all do have a name. It's just the number that's on the top. So I already colored in that other flower. I showed you the ones I used. Those are actually all from the C set. And then these green colors are from the A set, which was the original set that they first came out with. That S marker is actually black. And I would never have thought to shade my leaves with black. But since it was in there and they paired it together, I was like, let's try it. Like, how bad can it be? So I did my shading from the center out toward the edges because I wanted them to look a little bit concave in the center. But I really liked how the vein in the center looked lighter. So I did leave it lighter this time. I added very minimal of the black, but I did add it in, and it actually blended really well and gave kind of awesome contrast. So I'm glad that I tried that. For these leaves, I also did kind of the same thing I did with those smaller flower petals. I added some very small triangles of color on the outside toward the inside, just to kind of break those up and give it, multiple shading. Going to go over it one time with my lightest color. And then that's pretty much all of the coloring. With these teacups, I think the last time I colored it, I used gold. This time I'm using silver. I have these jelly roll pens, these metallic jelly roll pens. And in the set, I think there's a gold, a silver, and maybe like a bronze or a copper. I love these things. I think that they are so fun to use, especially during the holiday season. And so I gave this kind of like a silver foil edge on the plate and the cup. I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow underneath the plate. I'm going to be honest, this part was probably pointless because by the time I blended it out, like even I'm looking at the card that's sitting right in front of me, you can't even really see it once all of it dried back. So probably not necessary, but I did it anyway because I thought it would be helpful. I probably should have went a little bit darker, but nonetheless, you live, you learn. I'm using a white gel pen to add just some highlights to those little stamen, and then you know the deal. You've been here before. We're going to outline the entire image with a Copic Safe writing pen because I love me a bold black outline. For the sentiment, I really liked this one. It said, "You are amazing," and I want to send it to a friend, but I wanted to stack it. So I'm using a piece of washi tape to cover up the "You are," and then I am stamping the amazing in black Simon Says stamp ink. I'm going to clean my stamp really well in between and then reposition it. I'm going to put the washi tape to cover the amazing this time and then ink up and stamp the "You are." You can cut your stamps. You totally can, and some people are into that. I don't like to. I have in the past occasionally, but if I can get away with doing it with the tape method, I totally am. I used the sequin cheating move to put down some Morning Dew Nuvo drops, and then that's it. That's the whole card. So there is a giveaway over on the blog that is open until November, I think it's the 29th, November 29th. But there'll be a link below if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you head over, leave some comments, and if you do the whole blog hop, increases your chance to win. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.